Tonight on KGW News, a tsunami scare on the coast. Boats escape to sea as people head for higher ground.
It's a reminder that we live in earthquake country.
The big difference between today's earthquake and the big one predicted to hit the Northwest. Plus, a man accused of attacking spa workers heads to court as investigators look for more potential victims. Then it sat abandoned in the Columbia River for more than a decade.
It could end up being a catastrophic problem.
How this broken down barge was finally lifted out of the water, and later.
So it's pretty unusual to find it. So it's just really exciting when you do see it.
It's one of the coolest sights to see on a winter hike in the Northwest. What makes hair ice and how you can spot it. We start with that powerful 7.0 earthquake today that hit off the coast of California. Tonight, new video of the damage in Northern California shows things knocked off store shelves, smashing onto the floor. Some doors were even knocked off their hinges. Thank you for joining us. I'm Christine Pitawanich. The earthquake prompted a tsunami warning in southern Oregon, and while it didn't materialize, many people are grateful they got practice responding. The earthquake hit west of Humboldt County with a tsunami warning stretching from the Bay Area up to Florence, Oregon. Minutes after it was issued, boaters could be seen headed out to sea from Brookings Harbor in southern Oregon to prevent potential damage at port. We headed to Reedsport in Douglas County, where officials there evacuated waterfront areas and activated levees to stop the waves. The city manager says they'll review what they learned today to make sure they are well prepared next time.
It's really been on our mind, and in the morning we'll be doing a recap with the Douglas County and the emergency management to identify deficiencies and work on a better solutions. But we talked and we really felt like it went well.
Schools in Reedsport also went through emergency procedures. While the buildings are outside the tsunami zone, buses were ready to take students further away if necessary. And tonight we do have team coverage. Catherine Cook spoke with experts on how today's earthquake stacks up to the big one, expected to cause major damage here in the Northwest. But first, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Matt Safino. Matt, I know your eyes were glued to those buoys in the Pacific. Any big waves register?
No, not really, not at all. In fact, the reason why is because the waves, the tsunami, the surge, if you will, doesn't really get big until it reaches the shallower waters near shore. That's why those boats, Brookings Harbor, were going out to sea, because any waves out there will just be normal. See, the swells are all between about 6, 7, 9, 10 feet right now, pretty typical for this time of the year. But we were watching it very, very closely using a special type of buoy called the DART buoy, Deep Ocean Assessment and Reporting of Tsunamis, DART. This is what the NOAA one looks like. This is what the Australia one looks like. And these are stationed all around the Pacific Rim, from the coast of Asia, even in the Indian Ocean, clear up through Alaska and down the west coast and into South America. What they do is they measure the displacement of the water, which out over the deep ocean may not be very much, but if we get enough of a signal from enough of the buoys, then the scientists can use that to create the watches and warnings that we look at. There was a little bit of water displacement here for about 15 seconds from a buoy off the coast of Mendocino Bay off California, but that's about the only signal. It wouldn't even be detectable out there by a boat. So the watches and warnings that we go through with tsunami hazards, it's just an information statement. There's no threat at all. A watch meaning, hey, be prepared. Something might be coming, like if there's an earthquake off the coast of Japan. Advisory means it's happening. Strong currents, waves, that kind of a thing. Stay out of the water. And a warning, which we had today, meaning you need to take cover and head to higher ground. So we're all familiar with these signs out of the Oregon coast, but they're important. It's important to know how to get up and how to get away if there is a tsunami warning. Christine?
Additional information always helpful. Thank you so much, Matt. Now let's get to Catherine Cook. Catherine, you spoke with a geology professor, and I know after today's quake, some people really wondered if it was a precursor to the big one.
Christine, they say that's not necessarily true. The regions are connected to two different fault zones. However, it is a critical reminder to be prepared for a big earthquake here, which they say could happen anytime.
The number one thing is this is a reminder that we live in earthquake country and that everybody needs to be prepared.
Geology professor Scott Burns on why Portlanders should care about Thursday's 7.0 earthquake off the Northern California coast. It happened in the Mendocino Fault Zone, the most seismically active part of California. But in Portland, Burns says the big one would be connected to a different fault, the Cascadia subduction zone, which stretches from Vancouver, BC, down to Northern California.
Goes off every 700 years on the average, and that's a 9.0. I mean, it's going to cause huge amounts of devastation in that whole area.
Burns says the last big one hit our region 400 years ago. He says that puts us in the danger zone right now.
People say, oh, we have 300 years to go, but not really. That's based on averages. And when you look at the last 10,000 years of earthquakes, some of them are short periods, some of them are long periods, and those are all averages.
As far as tsunami danger, Burns says it can happen on our coast for two other reasons besides a Cascadia subduction zone earthquake: seismic activity in Alaska topping magnitude 7 and activity over magnitude 8 in Japan. Take the earthquake that hit Japan in 2011. It generated a tsunami wave that hit parts of the Oregon coast, even damaging a marina in Brookings. And in 1964, an earthquake in Alaska caused 30 to 50-foot tsunami waves in Seaside and Cannon Beach. Fortunately, that didn't happen here this week.
But this is a great opportunity to look at how we respond to these no-notice events like tsunamis and earthquakes.
Althea Rizzo is Geological Hazards Coordinator at the Oregon Department of Emergency Management. She says on Thursday, state and local agencies did well in alerting people of evacuation notices.
They responded exactly how they're supposed to respond, proactively and getting people to safety as quickly as possible.
State safety officials want people to look at their new Be 2 Weeks Ready program. It's a toolkit designed to help prepare for survival after natural disasters, from storing food and water to planning for waste, hygiene, and shelter. Professor Burns hopes everyone takes it seriously, especially after this wake-up call.
When the big one happens, it's not if, it's when, we want everybody to be prepared. The more prepared we are, the less damage and the quicker the recovery is going to be.
In addition to having supplies ready for an earthquake or tsunami, experts say now is also the time to come up with an emergency plan for your family, including possible evacuation routes and a communication plan. Also, make sure you're signed up to get emergency alerts on your phone. We've posted the links to that information on KGW.com. Christine.
All important things to think about and do. Thank you so much, Catherine. You can access all of our earthquake coverage by texting the word earthquake to the number there on your screen. That is 503-226-5088. Then we will send you right over a link to your phone. Developing tonight, detectives are looking for more potential victims in a case involving a man accused of violent attacks at 2 Gresham businesses. He was in court today and pleaded not guilty. A warning, some of the details in this story are graphic. Alma McCarty has the update.
And our next matter is going to be page 13, line 1, last of Habibi, first Habib.
Thursday afternoon, 20-year-old Habib Habibi went before a Multnomah County judge for the first time, facing charges of rape, sodomy, and strangulation, among others.
And we request to enter a not guilty plea as to each count.
Back in mid-November, Gresham police say the suspect went into this spa on Southeast 181st Avenue, attacking the lone worker inside of the business. According to court documents, Habibi choked the woman until she was unconscious. And when she woke up, she was being sexually assaulted.
Anybody that is assaulted in such a way is tragic.
Workers at another spa on Southeast Stark reported a second attack by the same man 2 weeks later on Thanksgiving Day. Documents reveal the suspect allegedly attacked an employee here. But investigators say the victim fought back, screaming for help, which drew the attention of other workers and patrons inside. Detective Fred Huffman says they quickly identified him through video surveillance and victim statements.
It's shocking to begin with. A lot of times we don't necessarily see or hear these things because, to be honest, massage parlors quite often don't report crimes that we're aware of.
Earlier this week, Gresham PD put out this mugshot of Habibi to encourage more people to reach out.
We believe that there could be additional victims out there that are afraid to come forward. We believe this isn't his first time committing these types of crimes.
The suspect remains behind bars in the Multnomah County Detention Center. According to court records in Oregon, he doesn't have any prior criminal charges as an adult. He'll be back in court next week. Christine.
Alma McCarty reporting for us. Thank you, Alma. Let's get you caught up on some of tonight's other headlines. 3 Vancouver police officers are on leave after a deadly shooting at a Safeway store. It happened last night at the Safeway near Mill Plain and Southeast 136th. Vancouver police say they approached the man, a fight broke out, then a gun was pulled and a Vancouver police officer shot and killed him. An officer was injured, but we don't know how badly. In addition to the officer who fired their gun, 2 other officers who saw the shooting are also on leave. A new agency, the Office of Independent Investigations, will now be looking into that shooting. And Portland police have identified the person hit and killed by a car in southeast Portland Wednesday morning. Investigators say 75-year-old Hong Huyn was in a crosswalk on Southeast Division at 109th when he was hit. He died at the scene. The driver, a 38-year-old Scappoose woman, stayed and spoke with investigators. She has been cited for careless driving. Also, a federal judge has rejected a plea deal stemming from 2 deadly Boeing 737 MAX crashes that happened in 2018 and 2019. Investigators blamed a faulty system in the new MAX planes. This past July, Boeing agreed to plead guilty to conspiracy to defraud the government and pay a $244 million fine for misleading U.S. regulators about the system. Some people, including the crash victims' families, were critical of the deal, calling it a slap on the wrist. But now that deal appears to be off. Boeing and the Justice Department now have 30 days to decide what's next.